Howdy folks, Sapper here, aka Sean, and I know it's been a bit. I've been playing some games off and on, but I haven't really been taken the time to record any of them because, I mean, primarily, most of my content has been of the wargaming variety, but I've been playing lately things that are not war games. Like I did play several games of Race for the Galaxy, which I really like, the card game, so the original Race for the Galaxy. I like that game. Has always been one of my favorites. It's pretty easy to get into, or pretty easy to play once you can get past all the icons, which some people have an issue with. I really don't have an issue with it, but hey, to each his own, right? So Race for the Galaxy. Let's see what else. I recently watched another YouTuber play some and 18xx games, and I was like, and they kind of always have kind of caught my eye. And then I watched the Lonesome Gamer play an 18xx game, and just the way he presented it was different than some of the other ones that I've watched. So I decided to pick up 1846, and I just got done playing that, and I really did enjoy it, and I think I will buy some more 18xx games. So I can't remember what else I played, but I decided this is probably one of my all-time favorite games, Arkham Horror, 2nd edition. Been thinking about it for a while. I thought about playing it back in October, right, which is like, that would be the month to do it, right? Let's play it in October. But I thought about it a lot, but I just never did it. So here it is, the end of December, almost the new year, and I decided to bust out Arkham Horror. So, and I wasn't originally going to film this, but then something funny happened, and the more I thought about it, at first I was a little bit agitated because the game kind of ended, right? So I was a little bit miffed about it, right? Because I spent more time unboxing it and setting it up and refreshing myself on some of the rules than I did actually playing the game, which can happen. And there's other games that can happen in, but that's part of the narrative, right? Like the big draw to Arkham Horror 2nd edition has always been, it is a very thematic and very narrative game. So I won't spend a lot of time kind of explaining to you what, going into detail about all the characters and all that kind of stuff, because that will take way longer than the game actually took. But I am going to do the final fight, which I've thought about it, and there is a possibility that I might be able to win this one. So have Arkham, and then I decided to play with just Innsmouth. I don't think I have ever played with just Innsmouth. I've played with Dunwich, and I'm pretty sure I've played with Kingsport before, but I've never played with just the Innsmouth board. So my investigators are Monterey Jack, Joe Diamond, Silas Marsh. Silas because he's an Innsmouth character, and he has mainly the reason I picked him is because he can move from aquatic location to aquatic location. So there's 2 aquatic locations in Arkham. So these 2 are aquatic. And then there are several aquatic locations in Innsmouth. So Devil's Reef, Yahan Nethle, however you say that, Innsmouth Shore, and the Factory District. So the reason I chose him is he will be able to get to this board much easier than other characters. If you don't have Silas Marsh, then you can use the train, which requires money. So Silas can just swim, right? So that's kind of why I chose Silas, is like he'll be able to deal with anything that happens in Innsmouth, if anything happens in Innsmouth. And then the final character is Daisy Walker. So I'm not going to go over all the details about each character and their personal stories and their friendships and all that kind of stuff, because again, it would take way longer. The ancient one is, of course, Cthulhu. I figured Cthulhu being a typically in all the stories, it was always something to deal with the ocean or the sea. Innsmouth is a seaside town, so that's why I picked Cthulhu. Let me move this out of the way real quick. I am using a herald. I'm using the Mother Hydra, and I'm also using the Bureau of Investigators, because these 2 both fall in line with Cthulhu and Innsmouth. So one of the funny things that Mother Hydra does is you start automatically with 1 token on the Deep One's Rising track. So if this track ever fills up, then the Ancient One is immediately awakened and you go to the final battle. So you start with 1 here. Another thing that the Mother Hydra does is when there is a monster surge, you spawn 1 extra monster. So turn 1, so we're kind of setting up the catastrophe that has just happened. So turn 1, or during the initial setup of the board, I started out with Shipwreck. So 2 monsters, a clue, most importantly, a gate appears in Devil's Reef. So Devil's Reef is over here on the Innsmouth board, and if you look, there's really only one way to get to Devil's Reef. And that is, I think, well, it's an aquatic location, so I think only Silas can actually get there, right? So only Silas can get to Devil's Reef, if I'm not mistaken. So it's a good thing I picked Silas, right? So we've got the Abyss and Relay. So I look at the gate and it has a -4 modifier. I look at Silas and his fight is a 6. At the time, his fight was only a 4, right? So I'm like, well, Silas can't, there's no way Silas can close that gate. His chances of being able to close that gate are almost impossible. But I did get Silas over to Innsmouth. He did fight off a monster or whatever. So during the initial setup, we have Shipwreck. We spawn that. So the characters each do their movement and their encounter phase. And then we go to our very first Mythos phase. And let me go ahead. This is what we get. Streets are flooded. Everything is aquatic, right? So that, again, Silas Marsh can move anywhere he wants pretty much. But this is the card that we get. We get a gate in Devil's Reef. Well, there's already a gate in Devil's Reef. So when that happens, you have a Monster Surge. Monster Surge is equal to the number of investigators. You spawn monsters equal to the number of investigators, or equal to the number of gates in play, whichever is greater. There's 4 investigators. So we're going to spawn 4 monsters at Devil's Reef. But Mother Hydra, when there's a monster surge, 1 extra monster appears with a monster surge. So we're going to have 5 monsters appear, divided evenly amongst the open gates. There's only 1 open gate. So what ends up happening is all 5 monsters spawn here. And then monster movement. All of the monsters are going to move because every symbol is represented on monster movement. So all 5 monsters will move into that. What is that? That's a void. I don't remember what that's called. But for every monster that goes into that area, you increase the threat on the Deep One's Rising track. 5 monsters, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So at the end of turn 1, the Ancient One has awoken. Which, that's probably going to be the fastest game ever, right? Turn 1, Ancient One has appeared. I decided at that point in time, I was like, well, you know what? There's no way. And my characters aren't prepared because we've only had one Arkham encounter phase to prepare. So I'm not even going to bother fighting Cthulhu, but I think there may be a tiny chance that I might be able to fight Cthulhu. So we have -7 to all dice checks because of the Herald that I'm using. But his attack is you reduce either sanity or stamina by 1 each time. So you don't lose life or you don't lose sanity, but your maximum is reduced. So eventually you're going to die, right? And then, of course, he regenerates 1 doom token every time he attacks. So if I looked at it, right, so we're going to be -7 to all of our combat checks. Well, Monterey Jack, he has a fight of 5. He can use 2 different weapons, so that would be 6, and that would be 9. So he would get to roll 2 dice. Joe Diamond, he has a fight of 5, but then we combine these 2 weapons, which is a +7, so he gets to roll 5 dice. Silas Marsh is extremely tough. He has a fight of 6, but he also was lucky and drew the Tommy gun. So he has a total of 12 dice, -7 will be 5. And then Daisy Walker, she's got this powder. I think I will give her the Cavalry Saber too. So she has I think lore. I'll have to look. It's been a long time since I played this game. I know that fight is your physical, and I think lore if you cast spells, which here's a spell. I'm gonna have to read up on attacking without weapons and see. I don't know if you use your fight. I think you use your fight. But I think so for every 4 successes, and they're all cumulative per character. So let's say in one fight round, Monterey Jack gets a success. That stacks, right? And then Joe Diamond gets 2 successes. So that would be a total of 3 successes. And then Silas Marsh gets a total of 3 successes for a total of 6. So every time you get 4 successes, you will remove a token from the token track. So because Silas Marsh, I've got a lot of heavy hitters as far as fight goes. Monterey Jack, Joe Diamond, and Silas are all heavy hitters, and they all have decent weapons. So there is a possibility that I might be able to beat Cthulhu. So what I'll do is I need to read up on Daisy Walker with the spell thing. She is able to, with this, because this is one of her starting items, the Livre d'Yvonne, she can search the spell deck for any one spell that she wants. So I haven't played in such a long time. I'm not really familiar or acquainted that well with the spell deck, but I might want to find like the most heavy hitting spell that I can find that I can continually reuse and equip her with that. So I'm going to figure all that stuff out, and then I might do a couple of rounds of the Battle with Cthulhu, and if I get close to beating him, maybe I'll do all that live. But that's kind of the state of the game. It could be the quickest game ever. So I just thought that was kind of funny. Alrighty, I've almost concluded the final battle, and yeah, I don't think we're going to be able to win. Daisy's been devoured. She was the weakest of all of them. Basically because of the low stamina. Everybody else had pretty high stamina, 7, 6. Silas Marsh. So Daisy's been the first. Monterey Jack has basically one. When Cthulhu attacks, you either lose permanently 1 sanity or 1 stamina. So he's got 1 attack left. Joe Diamond's got 1 attack left, and Silas Marsh has 1 attack left. I've managed to get Cthulhu down to 8, but he always regenerates 1 at the end of every round. So this will be my final attack round. The red dice are basically how many attack dice I get to roll after -7. So Joe Diamond gets to roll 5 dice. Had any of these investigators been blessed, I might have been able to do a little bit better. I seem to roll a lot of 4s. Trying to get successes in this game can be extremely frustrating. So we'll do the final attack for each one of these guys, and then we'll see how it goes. We'll see how low we can get them. There's no way, because I have to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 32 successes. That is a total of 5, 10, 12. I can only get 12 successes. So honestly, there's no way I can beat Cthulhu. But let's see how close we can get. So Joe Diamond, he gets to roll 5. So that is 2 successes. So there's 1, 2. So for every 4 hearts he gets, I'll remove 1 doom token. So that's actually, I think it's I wonder if that would reduce now that we only have 3 investigators. I'll do the 4. It's not like I can win anyway. So Silas gets to roll 5. Silas is pretty baller, right? He gets his 6th fight, and then he's got this Tommy gun. Tommy gun was awesome. Unfortunately, wasn't able to get a lot of successes. So that looks like 2 successes, so that's a total of 4. We'll go ahead and remove 1 more marker. And then Monterey Jack gets to roll his awesome 2 dice. He gets to do 1 reroll because of the bullwhip. He doesn't need a reroll, so that's an additional half point. So we got Cthulhu down to 7.8 before madness devoured all of us. I'll take the sanity off of all of them. So they succumb to the madness of Cthulhu. So yeah, that was interesting. I don't know if I want to reboot this. It's not like I spent a lot of time playing it. This final fight here with Cthulhu actually took longer than awakening him. I mean, it was only the end of the first turn. 1 mythos phase. Actually, technically 2 mythos phases, because when you do the setup of the game, you kind of do 1 mythos phase. So depending on how you want to look at it, it was either 1 or 2 mythos phases. Like, that's the shortest game ever. And one thing I did too, so we'll go ahead and look at it. So I don't, with all the expansions, you have a stack of mythos cards that's probably about like that. I don't play with them all because, Cthulhu has a doom track of 13, so I usually double whatever their doom track is in mythos cards. And what I will do is I think I only have 1 or 2 rumors in here. So I kind of build the mythos deck to be a little bit forgiving is not the right word to use, but a little bit easier going. I try to give the investigators a little bit more of the benefit of the doubt. There's 2 rumors. 3. I think I have 3 rumors in here, because rumors can kind of so I think I have a total of 28 cards in the mythos deck. I think I have 14 from the Innsmouth expansion, and I have 14 from the base game, so that way I'll get a decent distribution of things that can happen on this board, because this deck can get so diluted if you include everything. Like if I'm just playing with the Innsmouth expansion and all of my mythos cards never turn anything up in Innsmouth, then what's the point of playing with it, right? So I build the mythos deck to reflect that. So I think I did go through here. There's a lot of cards that spawn gates in the Devil's Reef, and that's, especially with the Herald. The Herald makes it even worse. I don't know, maybe I'll get rid of the Herald and see what happens. But yeah, this Deep One's Rising track really was my downfall, accompanied along with the Herald. So anyway, it was fun. Maybe I'll reboot it. Maybe I'll do some house rules to house rule this a little bit. Maybe instead of going up to, when it goes to 5, instead of awakening the Ancient One, maybe I'll do something like add another Doom token to the Ancient One, or something with the Terror track. Who knows? I don't know what I'll do. But, that was my super quick game of Arkham Horror, where it actually took longer to set it up, and it actually took me longer to explain what was going on this video than I actually spent playing it. So that's one of the fun things about Arkham, right? These cosmic forces that that are incomprehensible to man, and cosmic horror, we can't fight it, right? Well, the game proved it, that we can't fight it. So anyway, there you go, guys. That's what I've been doing. I might play another game of this just because it's set up and it took me a while to set it up. But Arkham Horror 2nd edition, classic game. I hope y'all had a great holiday, Christmas, and hopefully you have a great New Year. Until the next time,